Hello, my beautiful soul family. How are you this beautiful March day, the 10th already of March? Can you believe that? We are already in March and the beginning of the month. We're getting closer to spring, and I love spring. I've told you that I love all seasons, but I think when I am in the one season, for example, we're getting close to spring and I'm thinking, oh, I'm dreaming. My hands itch to get into the dirt and all the weeds and cut back trees and bushes and make my garden beautiful. I haven't had a chance last year I wasn't able to do all the things that I normally do. I'm not kidding you, sometimes I noticed I timed myself and it had been like 10 hours. I was up like at the crack of dawn around 6 and I was watering, and then after that of course I had my water and my tea and everything, and I was ready for the day. But then I realized that I had been outside like nearly the whole day, and I don't think of time, because when I do my garden work, it's like that's one of my great passions. I absolutely adore everything green, as you can see. I've had this little bonsai tree now for about 3 years, and he's doing so well. I've cut him back a little bit here and there, and I actually go to the nature and pick my own bonsai trees that I create them. A lot of people don't agree with that, because what you do, you atrophiate the root. But I'm not harming the tree per se. I don't think I'm doing that, because I'm creating something with it and I am nurturing it. I'm giving it soil and water and light. But some people don't agree with that, because they think things should grow the way they should. Yes, they can and they should, but that also teaches me. I love the art of bonsai, because you train it. And for me, it's like an analogy, because you know how I think all the time. I think I can train my mind. I can also train the tree. I cut it back. Like this it's not a little one. This Hoya carnosa, I've had her now. This plant is probably over. I got the babies from Europe. I brought them with me. And then before that, she must have been about maybe 20 years old. And then when I took her, I've had her now for about over 20 years as well. So she's getting there, but she stopped giving me flowers. I think I told you that. Okay, so today I'm excited for this subject. I've been talking with God, and I ask him always. This actually came the day when I wasn't able to come in yesterday. It got too late and I wasn't able to do that, but I had to run some errands, and so I'm here today. But right after the last video I made, I thought about the movie The Matrix. I often think about it, because it gave you know how sometimes you have things in your mind, things that make an impact on you. And for me, because I am so aware, and I'm always in thought and trying to figure things out and try to figure this life. And so what came to my mind was, what is Christ consciousness? And I'm not a member of any religion, I've told you before, and I never will be, because I believe that all religions are man-made, and I believe that God is not a difficult, let me think of the word. The universe has rules, like in regulations and laws, okay? Like, how do you want to live your life? How would you like people to treat you, how life to treat you, how to treat yourself. So we got to think, what do I want out of this? What do I want out of this life? And so I read things from Carl Jung as well, and there's a quote that he wrote: "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." Okay, I have thought about this subject, like I've told you, all week long, pretty much. And when I spoke to Spirit, this was brought to my attention, and I was told that I needed to speak about the Christ consciousness. This consciousness is a state of mind in which a person has found or is working towards self-realization in a relationship with God or the divine. When seeking after a Christ consciousness, the idea is to transcend physical existence. Let me get to I'm trying to think, because I don't want to read this yet. I want to, because when we seek, and this is for a person that's actually thinking about self-realization, to try to acquire or to have, and some people do have a relationship with God. I believe I think so. Why not? Because I've had one most of my life. And I feel that to seek after Christ consciousness, this idea is to transcend the physical existence. And in other words, to go beyond the limitations of our physical self and our physical body, and experience a state of being that is not confined to this material world. This way we can experience our own divinity and godlike nature. It is a path of love, I feel, harmony, bliss, peace, which leads to an understanding of the omnipresent higher power that connects all beings in the universe. Christ for me is the epitome of unconditional love, divine love. And in order to experience Christ consciousness, we must have the will and intention, as well as the capacity to receive it with an open heart, an open mind, and dedication to your spiritual journey and practice. Okay, now I'm going back to the year of 2000 when I first saw the movie The Matrix, and that movie kind of shook me. I believe that The Matrix was part catalyst to my awakening. I saw this movie many, many times. The first one, and I took mental notes as well as written notes. Now, I'm sure most of you guys have seen the movie, but I'll just go over to the nature of this, or the narrative of the story, okay? This film is actually a series. The Matrix is about a computer-generated simulated reality, and it is created and designed by machines to keep the entire human population enslaved within the illusion. And in this movie, it is suggested that humans need the elements of mind, brain, body, and how these elements, how this connection can help by working them together to their advantage and break free from illusion. This movie, The Matrix, explores how the mind, the brain, and body are connected, and how this connection changes when the world is an illusion. Now, to the Christ consciousness. In this movie, it was clear to me from the beginning that Neo was a messiah of sorts, and this movie has a really fascinating analogy at its core. The Matrix is clearly showing us that. It's using a computer simulator as an analogy for all of the things that do control us. And here arose the question in me at the time. I have pondered on this for several years, until I came to my own conclusions. Are there really systems that can control us? What are they? Is religion one of them? The media, government, society, or our own neurosis? The idea that Neo and the Oracle talk about, that we don't make choices, but rather come to an understanding about that choice you were always going to make, is particularly interesting to me. On that park bench, while the Oracle and Neo discuss choice, and that we actually never make a choice in the moment, rather, in the moment, you merely understand why your choices, or you're choosing what you were always going to choose at the end of the day. To me, this was a fascinating attempt to preserve energy in a casual world. Now back to Christ consciousness. Jesus was a human, and he recognized himself as a child of the Creator, and this was his birthright as well as the world's. And Neo in the Matrix was trying to come to this knowledge of the self and being the chosen one. When Neo chose the red pill, this allowed him to see the true nature of the Matrix, and he could then determine which path to continue exploring and delving into awareness, consciousness, and his true nature. Okay, so I thought for myself, why choose Christ consciousness? As I've mentioned before, I'm not a member of any religion. I've walked with my God, my lion, since I was a child. And my grandmother taught me about the Lord Jesus Christ. She told me stories about him, and all she taught me I loved, for I thought when I was about 12 years of age that since I spoke to God and was told of Christ by my grandmother, and she was Catholic, I decided then, when I was a young girl, to embrace Christ's teachings, for I felt they were unconditional love, and they resonated with my heart's truth. So I loved calling him Lord, for he represented that to me, and to this day, the light of the world. And as I said before, I take from the Bible what resonates with my heart, as I do also with other sacred scriptures. In Philippians 2:5-7, it reads, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus. And then in Corinthians as well, we have the mind of Christ. And I personally feel that by embracing this mindset of Christ consciousness, I vow to live my life with the sole purpose of seeking truth, share Christ-like perspective of humility, his compassion, and discernment in spiritual matters, cultivating a much deeper understanding of the nature of the divine. Some people feel that Christ consciousness is merely a spiritual philosophy. A philosophy differs from the Christian belief that Jesus is the Son of God. In my eyes, we're all children of God, regardless of color, religion, where you live. I have my own personal view on this. Jesus was a teacher. He was indeed a Son of God, like you and me, yet he was elevated, matured spiritually, for he knew who he was. When they asked him who he was, he never replied, I am Jesus of Nazareth. He replied, I am that I am, or I am the truth and the light. Jesus achieved this state through prayer, meditation, pondering, by doing good works, and in my eyes, he was and is definitely a divine ascended being of light and love. And I firmly believe that Christ consciousness is a state of awareness of our higher self and of our true divine nature, which we can all attain regardless of religion. I speak of my own personal studies and research I've done for myself. So I seek light, truth that resonates with my heart, and I love, love, love the teachings of the Christ. Years ago, I want to say 15 years ago, I found an amazing author, but he was not just an author. He was a spiritual teacher, a visionary. I have pretty much all of his books. His name is Neville Goddard. And by reading him, I came to understand the Bible, for before I never really liked it, except for the stories of Jesus in the New Testament. I didn't care to read about an eye for an eye and killing and sacrificing an animal. I didn't think that that was okay with God. I never agreed with that. Neville encourages for us to view the Bible as a guide to personal growth, and I have appreciated him since. There are so many symbolic meanings, not meant literally. For example, when I've told you guys about Lot and his wife and his daughters, and the angel told them not to look back. She didn't turn into a pillar of salt. Her mind, the condition of her mind, she went to the past, and that information was encrusted in her brain. So she did not change. She continued to be the same, and she kept all her ideas, the dogmas, the beliefs, and everything. This is what was told to me when I asked spirit, or when I asked my higher self or my spirit guides. I learned, or should I say, it opened my awareness, and I was able to remember, for what I read made total sense to me. Mr. Goddard, he challenges traditional beliefs by suggesting that God is an internal consciousness within each one of us. His books are very enlightening and thought-provoking. He considered the Bible to be a psychological drama instead of a historical book, and not many people will agree with that, but it's okay. We're all entitled to our opinions, and I feel I agree with him. And I think that everything that we have is to help us to find ourselves, and for us to do some searching. And I think it's important that we show the desire, because if everything is just given to us like this, I mean, how do we learn? Yeah, how do we learn? So I have been for years looking into this for better understanding. I know that awareness is a power, and the very center of Christ consciousness is the feeling of I am. I feel and know for myself that the light is Christ consciousness, and consciousness is one. I am is a feeling of permanent awareness, and I repeat, the very center of Christ consciousness is the feeling of I am. Christ, or should I say Christos, is an ancient Greek word meaning anointed or smeared with oil. And Christ is a title which means Messiah. And Messiah also means anointed, prophet, priest, king. In 1945, near the town of Nag Hammadi in Egypt, in Upper Egypt, 12 codices of papyrus were found in leather, were discovered along with remains of a 13th carefully stored in a ceramic jar. Among them was found the Gospel of Thomas. I love this gospel. There were about 114 sayings attributed to Jesus in this gospel. I don't understand why it has not been more known. Some scholars believe this gospel was written as late as 250 AD. Some believe it may have originated as early as 60 AD. I know this beautiful piece of work was not added to the Bible, nor considered due to its controversial material. This gospel is also known as the Coptic Gospel, What I love about this gospel is that it discusses a mystical understanding of Jesus' words and a oneness with divinity, and it focuses on a spiritual quest to discover who we are. I have told you guys throughout the videos that we are all living a spiritual experience on a physical body. And the only everlasting thing is our souls, our divine spirits. This gospel suggests that everything is part of a single reality. This gospel is different in tone as well as structure from the other four canonical gospels. Many do not accept this gospel as a reliable source, but I recognize this truth and my heart has embraced its wisdom, and it is a hidden esoteric wisdom and a gem in my eyes. There's also another famous author and a scientist. His name is Gregg Braden. He's as renowned as an international educator, pioneer, and visionary. According to the concept he has popularized on the divine matrix, this referring to the universal field of energy connecting everything that exists, thus acting as a container for our reality. Therefore, this field of energy or divine matrix is mirroring our beliefs back to us. This clearly shows us that we all influence each other in the world with our thoughts, in our intentions, in our actions. Now, this concept draws heavily from quantum physics as well as spiritual traditions, and with the idea that the divine matrix is a conscious, intelligent, beautiful, magnificent force that underlies all of creation. So Gregg Braden introduced me to the divine matrix. Where all possibilities exist, and we get to choose which consciousness we'll use to navigate in this realm. And the study of the matrix fascinates me, for it is an ever developing state of consciousness. Now back to the Christ consciousness. You guys may think I'm kind of silly, but because I am so deep, I can read between the lines of the universe speaking literally. So the first time that I heard the song Personal Jesus, by Depeche Mode, there were all types of different conversations about this song, because some people thought it was that the religion was trying to get you to promote, Jesus, all types of different things in that order, but I didn't see it that way. Your own personal Jesus, someone to hear your prayers, someone who cares. Your own personal Jesus, someone to hear your prayers, someone who's there. Feeling unknown and you're all alone, flesh and bone by the telephone. Lift up the receiver, I'll make you a believer. Take second best, put me to the test. Things on your chest, you need to confess. I will deliver you. No, I am a forgiver. Reach out and touch faith. Reach out and touch faith. Your own personal Jesus. I love that song. When I hear it, I put it full blast. Now, how do I associate this song to Christ consciousness? This Jesus that carries the anointed, the Christ consciousness, is someone to give us hope, to give love. And this is what I get from the song. Someone we can build a trusting relationship with. And when you lift up the receiver and call him, he'll be there for you. And I don't know about others, but I deeply feel that Jesus is a very special being that was human, yet a God, for he knew of his divinity. He knew he was the I am that I am, and he has all of the maximum attributes of a human being, and in addition is omniscience, omnipotence, omnipresence, eternal, unconditionally loving, forgiving, and morally perfect. That is why I love this song, and I've got my very own personal Jesus. He's in my dreams, and I've seen him a few times in meditations while meditating, and I saw him once in a dark night with a sky full of stars when I was in Hawaii, laying in the grass. When I think of Christ consciousness, the name Christ is a term of respect that applies to the spiritual master teachers throughout human history. Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu, Muhammad, Yogananda, all these that have reached a state of enlightenment that warrants being called the Christ. For me, achieving Christ consciousness is possible for all to become enlightened and to awake from the sleep of ignorance and achieve freedom from this matrix of suffering. Now, regardless, this is a divine matrix, and its sole purpose of being is for us to dismantle it. And together we can attain this. But first it begins with me and then you. To achieve a higher consciousness is done through surrendering our ego and any analytical minds, our analytical minds. A clear intention is very important of what we want to achieve, thus creating a spiritual practice which we become disciplined in and take small steps with the belief that you will succeed. Quieting your mind, your ego, during prayer and meditation opens up the pathways for us becoming acquainted with our higher selves, our souls. Within each one of us, there's a light waiting to be let out. Jesus said, "The kingdom of God is within you, and this kingdom can be found through personal spiritual growth and introspection rather than external sources." I feel that it's very important for us to, well, this is if you want to have if you want to follow a path, a spiritual path, if you want to discover what you're doing here, what consciousness is. And when we observe the world the way it is right now, we can all make judgments of it, but instead of making judgments, I'd rather make observations. This way I learn. The world teaches me to see where I'm at, because we actually mirror ourselves. When we look out and we judge something, it's because there's something inside of us that is the exact same thing, but we're not aware of it. And I don't know if you guys understand me when I say this. It's easy for us to judge, and we all judge each other. But I also think it's very important to stand your ground, and you need to speak and voice your truth. You cannot allow anything or anyone, whether it's friends, family, people that you work with, you need to demand this respect. Of course, we respect others. We respect their religions. We respect, even if you're an atheist, everything. You know what I mean? We respect. But then I think it's very important for us to place us in a place where we feel that we can grow and we can have everything around us, all these different types of consciousness, because everyone has a different consciousness. Not everyone is in the same level of understanding of things. Like this is the same thing when you think about the analogy, the school. Kids go to school, they go to kindergarten. You can't expect a kid that's going to kindergarten to be going to the high school. Or you can't expect someone that's in middle school to be going to the university unless you're a genius. Now, there are geniuses, but you count them like this with your fingers. So I think it's very important for us to be aware what consciousness is and what we want. What do we want to acquire while we're living in this world? This world holds so many amazing adventures of the mind. How can I'm observing how time is passing us by so fast, okay? It's almost too fast. And time is irrelevant. It's there's no time doesn't actually time doesn't have time, and I don't know if how to explain that. I was told that when I was little, when I played with my little friend, that was me, and I thought my grandmother had told us I needed to go and have dinner, and I needed to go back in the house, and I thought I had only been outside for like 10 minutes, and my grandmother came and told me, "You've been out here all day." So time doesn't really exist, and especially in the mind of a child, because when we're children, we live in awe. We live in a childlike wonder. And I really truly feel with all of my heart and soul that to be able to experience life and the consciousness, the Christ consciousness, we need to be childlike. And I don't mean, immature, because kids, you will think kids don't know, they don't have wisdom, but actually they do. Have you ever observed a child playing? They're lost in that moment. They live the present fully. Whereas adults, they're, oh my God, I gotta hurry. Oh my God, I gotta go do this. Oh no, I have to go meet Martha. The whole time. And we have all this information up here. And I feel, even though like at times I tell you that I have a lot of things in my mind, when I live a moment, I'm present in that moment. And I give 100% of myself to that moment, because then I can better savor it. I can better relish it. Okay, I'll explain. When I've gotten massages, because I love to get massages or get my feet done, but I love massages. But not everybody loves body massages, but I do. And so when I've been at the spa and I'm getting a massage, I actually detach completely. I close my eyes and I go to a garden. So the person that's giving me the massage, I feel the fingers, but my mind, I'm somewhere else, but I am present, and yet I've detached from that, and it's almost like I have the best of both worlds, because I have the spiritual world and I have the physical world. The physical world is massaging me, and my mind is massaging me in another area. I don't know if you follow me. I'm going to read you this poem I wrote in the year 2002, and I think I have read it to you before, but I think it kind of goes together with the Christ consciousness, because we need to awake. And I'm going to tell you again, in all humbleness, I tell you, I was asked by the creator of the universes about over a year ago to open up this channel, and he told me very specifically, I need you to share your life with me, my life with God, since I was a child, and all of the experiences I've had with him, how he works in my life, what he has done for me. And this relationship, I created it. And the love I have for him, I believe I've had it always. And at times I let go of his hand. At times I let go of this relationship, and I had many lessons that I had to learn, and I was taken through the ringer, because when we are not conscientious of our divinity, of our divine selves, life does whatever it wants to with us. And then until we're smacked in the face, either with a sickness or something great that happens to us in our lives, all types of things, like I told you yesterday, the chaos of life has a purpose. There's purpose in all things. I know that some people will disagree with me. For example, when someone is abused, whether it's a child, an elderly person, we don't see that clearly. How can that be? How can that be allowed? I say both, because we're living a dual society, in a dual, the earth is dual. There's negative and positive. There's yin and there's yang. There's dark and there's light. And to have light, there has to be darkness. And this is a very deep understanding that when the years pass and when you ask, this is the thing. I feel very, very strong about this because there are many books out there. There are many sources. There's, you can ask, you can go on the internet and ask, Google it, let's Google it. But you need to Google it here. And your mind and heart coherence, it starts building. And it gives you information. And then you start understanding the language of the universe. And then you get miracles that you cannot explain to people. Because if I were to tell you the things that I've experienced, when I'm here every time, I don't want to do that because it's like, oh yeah, whatever, that's not true. And I don't have to be validated by any of you. My experience with God is my experience with God. Yes, it is sacred. And I don't share all the things, but I ask and He inspires me. I'm not better than anyone else, and I'm not trying to take anybody's place, let alone Christ's consciousness. But this is what we are because it's being anointed. When you are awakened, then you see life not just with these eyes, the eyes of the soul. And then you understand concepts that didn't make sense before without judgment. And then you go in your path and you take things easier and life gets lighter and you empty your suitcase from the back that was so heavy. And everything has a different meaning. Everything has a different meaning. And you are in this world with a purpose, with a beautiful purpose. And you know what that is? You give purpose to your life. You give purpose to, in the morning when you get up, how do you decide to act? You go to work and you're going to be with a nice smile and greet everyone with love and joy. Okay, I understand that we're humans and we can't all be la la la, 24/7. But you know what? You decide that. If we're going to allow for life's, all of life's things that happen to us, just life happens. Like they say, shit happens, life happens. Okay, so are we going to allow because of that and that and that to ruin my day? You can. You decide. And that's the thing. You have the power of your mind to create and build your consciousness and build wonderful things so that your subconscious mind starts being fed your subconscious with repetitious things about yourself. If you've been told all your life that you're dumb or stupid, you'll never amount to anything, you don't have to prove anybody wrong, but you prove to yourself, you know what? I'm done. I am done. I'm going to be the way I want to be, unapologetically, only my maker and me. That's all who I have to answer to. Because the day I drop dead, you won't give a red rat's ass what I'm going to be doing, what my life was. You won't care. The things I'm sharing with you, you can take them or leave them. And that's the beauty of life. You can go to a restaurant, a Mexican restaurant, and what do you get? You don't get Asian food, you get Mexican food. You go to an African restaurant, you get African food. You don't get food from Italy. So, in this world, in this life, we need to decide, and everything's there for us, like this. If we lack, it's because we lack here. Imagination is key. The power of your imagination, oh my God, It's everything, because this is what you are. We're creating this world, you and me and all of us together. The state of the world is because all of us together, we all need to be responsible. We need to be aware. We need to think about all of the things that are happening out there. Watch the way you think, the way you speak, because your verb that comes out comes from here, from your heart. And if you believe that, then that's what it's going to be. Oh, it's a shitty day today. It will be an effing shitty day today because you said it. Oh, I never get good parking. Not me. I get the best parkings every single time. And I'm telling you, you have power over the elements. I know, because I do. Not every time, but when I really need it. Like one day I went out and I thought, oh, I don't want all those dark clouds. And I looked behind me and it was black, gigantic gray black clouds. I thought, oh no, the storm's surely coming. And I told you, I'm not driving in the snow. This happened about a week ago. And I said, I want to see your face. I want to see your beautiful face. I want to see the sun. And then I started like humming. I opened up the window a little bit. Of course, it was cold, but I wanted some air. And then all of a sudden, it started to get clear. And then where I drove, it was completely sunny and light. And when I returned, when I went back southbound, it was beautiful and sunny. And now you'll think, oh yeah, that was just a coincidence. Not in my life. There are no such things as coincidences. There's a synchronicity. There's an inner wisdom. And if you tap into your higher self, and if you accept that you are a child of the universe, and that you are not a powerless being, and that you are a being filled with light, and then you want to learn more, when you ask the universe, when you ask God, whoever you deem God to be, because you don't know, right? Many people don't know, but if you want to learn, what do? Ask. Like I've told you before, the baby, wah, 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 wah. The mom sticks the boob in the baby's mouth, and the baby quiets down. Cry to God. I made him sick, I'm sure. Over, on and on and on. Da, 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 da. I don't want this. Da, 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 da. 24/7 until finally, okay. And my life is magical, you guys. It's magical. Okay, I'm going to tell you something that, remember in the Matrix, when Neo, he was learning, when they, remember the things they had put in his brain, back in here, and where all the, what is that called? Let me think. The neurons, okay, and all those attachments they had. So it's a program they put in there because he had to do, it was Kung Fu. By the way, I love I love the martial arts, and one day I want to learn Kung Fu. I know that sounds crazy, but I see myself doing that. Anyway, back to this. One day I was with a very dear friend. We went to a lake, and it was a beautiful sunny day. It was a summer day, and it was blowing, and he was a windsurfer. And I had always wanted to learn it, but I had never learned it. Now, the night before, mind you, I did something with my mind. And I've done this, that I'm conscious of it. I've done it several times, and I'll tell you the first time. Not the first time, I'll tell you about this. I've never done it after that, but I did it one time. In my mind, I created like a movie. I remember when you get on the board, then you take the boom up, and you have to have your equilibrium and stand there, and then you bring up the boom up like this towards you, and then you stand right, then you go with the wind, you let the sail take the wind. Anyway, in my mind, in my imagination, I went sailing, okay? And I jumped a couple of little waves because the wind was blowing. That day, when I went with my friend, I told him, you know what, I want to try this. Let me just try it. I know you're not going to believe me, but it doesn't matter. I experienced it. I surfed back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, maybe like 20 times. without falling. And I think it was about 19, 20 times. And I was so, and I kept on thinking of how I was feeling in my mind, and that meditation type of a thing that I did. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you, I was afraid to drive. I learned how to drive when I was about 30 years of age. Now you think, what? Yes. When I used to live in Chicago, I went with some friends to a party, and I saw a horrible, absolutely horrendous accident. Um, my friend Otto was driving the car with another friend in the front. I was sitting in the back. I was on the left-hand side towards the window. My other friend was in the center and another friend on this side. And we were going to a party, and it was probably around, I don't know, 5:30, 6 o'clock. And we were on the freeway, and it's a very busy. We were going to Elgin, Illinois, to this party, something related with church. Okay. So all of a sudden, we noticed the car in front of us was like deviating back and forth like this, back and forth, back and forth. And this car, we can see like they were fighting, because the person that was driving could not control the car, because the person that was sitting next to him was hitting him. And I want to say it was a woman. Yeah, I think it was the lady that was driving, and the guy and her were fighting, and they were hitting each other. Yeah. We were not that close, but we could see it. And it was a white car. And the most horrible thing that happened, they kept on doing that, and then on the side of the road was a huge truck. Now we're driving at high speeds, probably like 70 or more, 70 or more. My friend Otto, he had driven in the Indiana, I think it's called the Indiana 900 or Indiana something. He drove fast cars, sports cars. So he was a very well experienced driver. This car, we were in the middle, there were many lanes, okay? Because remember, it's Chicago. So on this side, the car that was in front of us, every lane was busy. So it wasn't like we were not just us and them. No. We were in the middle lane. The car did something, and it hit that truck. I mean, we're talking smashed into it. We were a couple of cars, a car or so behind. Everybody started to slow down, of course, but it was the most horrendous thing in my whole life I've ever seen. My friend made the car, you know how we were driving this way? He made the car do something like this, where the tires, it went like this. And I remember my face being smashed against the window. It happened in an instant like that. The person's head was decapitated because the car, it went under. It was a sports car. It went under this big thing from the city, one of those big city trucks. I have no idea. But I saw ahead, the person was decapitated. And we were in shock, and it was horrendous. And my friend, we drove a little ways, and then we parked to the side, and we were all screaming and crying. It was the most horrible thing I've ever seen. I was 17 years of age. I did not ever want to drive again. And when I had to take the test in school, my palms would get wet and all clammy. My back, my feet were completely wet, and I was completely nervous, and I was shaking, and all I thought, I'm gonna be killed, or I'm gonna kill someone. I could not, for the life of me, I could not control it. And of course, I didn't know any of these things, but I'm gonna tell you. So I never drove. Years passed. I got married. I got married very, very young. I was 19, and I didn't drive. One day, when I lived in Europe, I was home alone, and for some reason I went outside, and I was listening to a song. Let me think. And this is another thing that I have to tell you about music with me, that it helps me to create, because I move myself, I remove myself from here, and because I'm a multidimensional being, because like I know this now, I didn't know that back then, okay? I was sitting in the backyard, and the wind was blowing, and Don Henley, I think it is. Dun, 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 dun. Do you hear? Dun, 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 dun. The Boys of Summer. So I was listening to the Boys of Summer, full blast, and let me tell you, I thought to myself, I want to drive. I need to learn how to drive. So I imagined myself on a road that was open, and I was going straight, and for whatever reason it made me think of, like, you know, when you're driving in the freeway and you're going from across, like from a state to another state, so the roads are completely open, it's just open space and you can drive as fast as you can, and I love speed. Oh my god. I think in my mind I was going about 100. My hair was blowing in the wind, and the song was playing, so I went into this trance, type of a trance. So the next time, the following year, when we came to the States, I remember I went and took the class, and I wasn't afraid. I said, I can do this. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. But before I did that, I practiced with a friend of mine. She taught me how to drive standards. So I was driving. They had her husband. He would take old Mercedes and fix them. Oh, old Mercedes. Oh my God, they're so beautiful. I mean, he would take the old ones, just and then totally remake them, and they were absolutely beautiful. I love those old antique cars. They're just beautiful. So I learned how to drive in one of those. And I can tell you that when I got in the car, yeah, my palms started to sweat. And then I thought, no, and then the song, I turned it on, because my mind is like a radio. So I chose the song, the frequency. I got on that frequency. I took the test. I passed with flying colors. And I can drive with my eyes closed. Oh, and I haven't told you. No, I'm not going to go to that story. I'm going to read you this poem about Awake. I think I have read it to you before, but I think it's important that you hear it again. This is not something I sit down and try to write. I woke up and I had to grab my pen and I just wrote, because this is how I get messages. And this was for me, and now I'm giving it to you, forward it to you, so that you can use it, and if you want to, because everything I say you don't have to believe. You don't have to. This channel, the Mystical Hummingbird, it was open for you, and I'm pleased to be here for you. I hope that my words, my experiences can help you. I hope that you can start seeing life and start discarding things that bother you, that hurt you, and start loving yourself, and find the best of you, and create a different life for yourselves. Create a life that you're happy for, that you look forward to, vacations. And see, when you awake your mind to the beauty of life, the essence that you are, everything is different. Things taste more delicious. Everything is more beautiful. Anyway, I'll read this. Awake. Awake, my heart. Awake. The stillness of the morning calls, beckons. Awake. Awake from your dwelling stead. Remove the veil of deep slumber, blossoming my heart as the petals of a rose in full wonder. Behold, dawn is breaking. Do make haste. Embrace the light of day. Its tender wakefulness caress, revealing the soul seeking its own forgotten mercies of truths untold. Awake! Go hence with swift, silent steps into the brightness of the sun's warm, loving face. Let the sun rays enfold you, shine upon you, enveloping, covering the sweet essence of which you are made. Awake, my heart, awake! I hope you like that. Um, I I have to tell you that it humbles me, and I feel so different than from the first day that I came here to this little channel. It is raw and it unedited, and I've made mistakes sometimes pronouncing things because I do have an accent and I speak different languages and I have a tendency and you know, to have this accent. I try. This is why also I read things because I can speak more clearly, and also I can keep focus on the things on the whole subject of what we're talking about. But I have to tell you that I am so grateful. My heart, I am filled with gratitude for my Maker, for all the things that I experience every single day. I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for the new world that's being created. I know that a lot of people they are living in they're almost hopeless, thinking that nothing good is coming out of everything that's out there. But you're the ones that can change that. Me and you and me. We're like this. We're one. Um, I don't know how you feel about changes. That in life, the thing that's most constant is change. Like I keep on telling you, learn from the seasons. The seasons change all the time. Death is a constant. Life is a constant until death happens. One day you'll have sun, another day you'll have rain. One day you can have a smile on your face, another day you might have tears in your eyes. But try to live the moment, the present moment with joy, with gratitude. Have gratitude for your life. Have gratitude and um, have love for yourself. Excuse me, let me get some water. I'm listening to beautiful cello music. I disappeared. I just love cello music. I dream of the day I can play the cello. But before I play the guitar, I have to play the guitar. And I want to learn the notes first. I don't have knowledge of the notes. Well, what can I tell you? Um, I want you to know that you are so loved. This universe loves each one of you. You are you are children. We're all children in this world. And when we all remove our mask, one day when everything's said and done and we no longer have to, when things won't be the way they are right now, you'll see truly that we are all children having a game. We're all playing a game. Some are harder than others, unfortunately, because there's lack of love. But this is what we're here for. We need to find ourselves and try to understand and emulate the Christ consciousness, the Buddha consciousness, all the goodness, the consciousness of goodness, the consciousness of your inner child. Little children are so loving. Emulate them, their joy. This is why I think it's fun to be like a kid because I have more joy in life. I laugh more. And when I've been sad, I don't have very many sad moments. I get emotional, and then when I've been with you guys and I've expressed to you how I feel because life touches me, and I can cry if I see a beautiful sunset, or if I see an elderly couple holding hands, or when I see a fresh, brand new baby being born. Um, I used to help deliver with the midwives. I used to be one of the aides and help, kind of like a doula, and would help the women to deliver their babies, the ones that wanted to have natural birth. And it's magnificent. It's the birth of life into life is magnificent. And I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be a part of this world and of the changes that are coming. And I am so, so happy. I want to thank you all, and I pray that you'll have a wonderful week. And hopefully next week not next week, this Saturday or Sometimes they'll have something else for you. And but don't give up on yourselves. Stay close to God, whoever you deem God to be. Um, for me, God is like a shapeshifter because He can be anywhere and everywhere, and here, and then from here He goes everywhere because He's part of all of us. Love more. When you love more. When you're holding someone, love them even more. When you go dancing, dance even harder. Give yourself, surrender to your higher self, surrender to the childlike person you are. When you are out eating with your friends, be in the moment, enjoy the food and the music, breathe the air with gusto. Do something nice for someone, but do something for you first, and then love with no limitations. Open up your heart. Love. It's the most beautiful thing. It's the most beautiful thing, people. It's a godlike quality. But love yourselves first. Okay, I'm gonna close today, and then I'll be seeing you guys on either Friday or Saturday, one of the 2 days. Have a wonderful day and take care of yourself. Mwah! I'm gonna get all twisted with this.